Shirley, nice to meet you at long last.
Nice to meet you too, David. It's
You're
been
welcome.
a couple of years since we did the transaction, hasn't it?
When Shirley McLean first contacted us a couple of years ago, she contacted us. She had a small portfolio to sell. So Shirley, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in property and what you're doing now?
Yeah, well, we started, my husband and I, my husband had been a builder. He was retired from that, a bit older than me. And we decided it would be nice just to have a little boat hole in Scotland. And in order to finance that, we thought, well, if we did some buy-to-lets, that would basically pay for our holiday home and we could be a part of the community so that we weren't just helicopter in, helicopter out landlords. We wanted to be part of the community, even though we were living in England. So that was 2002. We bought the first buy-to-let. And so I'd been in the business 20 years. Meanwhile, my husband died and along came COVID and I was living in England. And it just gradually became apparent that that era of my life really was over. So there was a while when I wasn't even allowed to go to my holiday home during COVID, of course. And then my brother and his family were keen to move over from Belgium. And it was perfect timing for them to move into my place. So it really was the end of an era. I had 4 good tenants. I didn't want to disrupt their lives. But the property market was awfully slow in Kelty Fife. You could see properties on the market for a year or 18 months and nothing happening. And I'm thinking, if I try to sell these one at a time, they'll be competing with each other. It will be on the market a long time. It will frighten the tenants away. They'll not want to stay. They'll be uncertain. I'll be paying mortgages on empty properties. And that just was not on. So I couldn't really see a way to have a win-win for the tenants and me in disposing of those 4 properties.
So you came to us. How did you first of all hear about us, and what was your experience like working with us?
I heard about you through Property 118. I was a keen follower of that. Actually, I still get the newsletters. And there was an advert from National Residential saying that you were a specialist agency for selling from landlords to landlords. And I thought, yes, that's what I've been waiting for. I didn't know such things existed. And so straight away that Saturday morning, I sent off an email to you and I got an email back saying, sorry, we don't deal with Scotland. And I thought, oh, what a shame. And then I waited a few hours, and later that evening, there was an email from David Coughlin saying, we've had a few inquiries in response to that article in Property 118, and we've decided that we will give it a go. We will see if we can find a way to work with the Scottish property market, which of course is very, very different legal system, different ways of buying and selling. You make an offer and that is it. You are legally bound by it. Whole different thing from the England and Wales market. So thank you very much for being willing to come on an adventure, blaze new trails with me.
Welcome, Shirley. I like your challenge and I didn't want to let you down.
Yeah.
So how did it go?
It went very well. You enlisted the help of a partner in Scotland who were able to participate in the deal. And I don't know quite how you worked that out between you. That was none of my business. But for me, it worked very smoothly. You found me a buyer really quickly, who was a landlord of some 20 years experience, mainly in the Glasgow area. And he was keen to expand into Fife, where the properties were a bit cheaper, actually, of course, than the big city. And you managed to get a deal together for us. Of course, you know, in selling in that way, I had to take a little bit of a cut. And that was fine by me because it meant that I wasn't paying mortgages for 18 months while I was waiting for properties to sell with tenants scared away.
Yeah, so were your tenants happy? How did your tenants respond to finding out you were selling and then the buyer taking them on? How did that go?
Well, there was one teeny hitch with that, and I'm afraid that was down to my letting agent, because I used the letting agent. The buyer actually handled things himself. But we had planned it that my agent's letter would go to my 4 tenants a couple of days before the buyer's letter would go to them. But unfortunately, the buyer's letter got there first
Oh, dear.
before they'd heard from my agent.
Right,
But it wasn't the
okay.
buyer's fault. That he was on time, we were late.
Yeah.
So they actually found out that they had been sold before they heard it from me. But it all worked out in the end. Nobody left, no feathers were ruffled, and everybody was assured that they would have exactly the same deal for the foreseeable future, no rent increases, and that they would be looked after by a more local landlord. So really
Perfect.
a win-win.
Well, I think that's what it's about, Shirley, trying to get a win for you, a win for the landlord, a win for the tenant. Sometimes somebody has to give a little bit, and there's a bit of elbow grease fixing the flat roof, and things don't always go according to plan, like the tenants finding out from the solicitors and all that. But you know, it's nice to see a success story. So, Shirley, if there's any landlords out there watching this on Property 118, and they're thinking, well, you know, I've got a portfolio to sell, whether it's England, Scotland, or Wales, and they're not sure about who to use and to reach out to, is there anything that you would say to them that would encourage them at least to maybe reach out and have a conversation with us?
I would say give it a go. If you want to sell, fill in that spreadsheet, send it off to David and see what he can do for you. You might be very pleasantly surprised at how quickly he finds you a buyer. I would say for Scotland, the speed with which David found me a buyer was astonishing. Selling certainly in the Fife property market, they take a long time to shift, and this was by far the best way to do it. So give it a go. There's nothing to lose. Okay, you'll take a little bit of a cut, but nothing compared to what you would lose if you tried to do it on your own.
Well, you're an optimist and a happy, jolly one. So, Shirley, thanks for your feedback, and we wish you all the very best for the future. All right.
Thank you, David. It's been a pleasure.